Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
By the time I hit my 50s, I'd learned a few things, like how family is precious. Work can always wait. And 99% of people over 50 already have the virus that causes shingles. Not everyone at risk will develop it, but I did. The painful, blistering rash disrupted my life for weeks. Don't learn about your shingles risk the hard way. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
With Alex Traiman sitting right in front of me, mayor of Tel Aviv or Jerusalem sounds kind of nice.
That sounds good.
They have those?
Absolutely.
How is the mayor in Jerusalem where you live and work? Is he a good guy? Or?
He's a pretty good guy. He's a very strong executive. He has a lot of executive experience.
He does.
And he runs the city really well, and that's why infrastructure is going up all over the city.
It is, right? I think I've met him, actually. What's his name again?
Mayor Moshe Leon.
I met him. I met Moshe Leon. I think I met him at your summit.
Right. That's right.
Which is coming up in about a month. Yeah, I did notice that last time I was in Israel. They talk about building, and Katzmatidis, he's got buildings in Coney Island in Brooklyn. He's got this gorgeous new building in St. Petersburg, Florida. But, John, you want to be smart. Take a look at Israel these days because, you know, despite all the bombing, and they've knocked down a whole bunch of stuff in Tel Aviv, the bad guys, there is new stuff going up every day all over the country, right?
Everywhere you look on the skyline of Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, you see cranes. The national bird of Israel is the crane.
Is that true?
Buildings are going but buildings are going up everywhere in Israel.
That should. It's an unbelievable place. You're not going to convince an anti-Semite it's a great place, but if you're not an anti-Semite, and even if you're not Jewish, the Christian population loves it there. I keep saying to people, my friend did a tremendous job, David Friedman, in Nassau County. He was a great ambassador to Israel. They got the Abraham Accords done with him. But there's a reason why Mike Huckabee is that guy now. He's not Jewish. He's Christian. And he's doing a spectacular job as well. I think you'd agree to that. But the Christian population, which is large in numbers, that live in Israel, they love it too.
That's the only place in the Middle East that Christian life flourishes. If I actually took you to Jerusalem and you didn't know anything about the place, you didn't know anything about Israel, anything about the people that live there.
You did that about 3 years ago.
Right. But if I drove you around the city or I flew you over the city and I asked you to tell me what's the religion of this city, well, you would see all the churches, the cathedrals, the monasteries. You would say this is probably a Christian city. That's how powerful
I've seen it, yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's how powerful that
the Christian presence is in the city.
Right, exactly. And everybody gets along. Everybody lives nicely together.
No problems.
Right, well, except for the Palestinians. Not just Hamas. I know I make a lot of people angry, but the Palestinians. And I always say to people who remark about this relationship between the Arabs and the Jews, when you do it from Staten Island, when you do it from Brooklyn, when you do it from Tennessee, it means nothing to me. You have to go. I've experienced the dynamic. I've walked through the Muslim markets, right, by the wall, by the Western Wall. I've seen Ava and Gabriel cry because some Palestinian, not Hamas, Palestinian gave me the evil eye because I was wearing an Israel shirt. So you live amongst these people every day. So when people say, listen, before you start going on and on about these beautiful, innocent Palestinians, you may want to know a little something about what's really gone on for the last 80 years, right?
These are people that grew up. When I moved to Israel back in 2004, there was a show on Palestinian television that was a Mickey Mouse character, and they canceled the show. And in the last episode of the show, the Mickey Mouse character became a suicide bomber.
Stop it.
I'm serious.
The Mickey Mouse character was wearing a suicide vest?
Became a suicide bomber and became a martyr, right? This is, there are Palestinian kids, like in Gaza and elsewhere, they go to summer camps where they stage they stage like October 7th like attacks, and they film that. And you can just go to the Palestinian Media Watch website and you go see it for yourself. I'm not making this stuff up.
No, you're not. And the adults talking about running these camps, they were doing that in Gaza for months leading up to October 7th. That's why to this day there's still a lot of people that are upset with Bibi because it happened. And they were kind of doing it right out in the open. They would be doing these exercises in Gaza. And I guess the Israelis thought, okay, they've been doing that for a while. It's not really going to happen. But as far as I know, Alex, they were doing these exercises right out in the open.
Well, there's a fundamental change now in Israel. We allowed this to happen. We allowed forced posture to build up right in our backyards, as if people just hoped that they would never attack. But what do you think they were going to do with those rockets, with those missiles? But now the situation in Israel is totally different, and Israel's not going to permit it anymore. Israel is emerging as a strong force that protects its citizens after the horrific mistake, the massacre of October 7th. And I think you're going to see Israel just really, really thrive in this region.
Bibi was coming under fire quite a bit early on for that. I don't really hear a lot about that anymore. First it was that, then it was the hostages, The people who love Bibi like me, and I love him, or Trump, he loves him, we have zero issue complimenting Netanyahu. But for people that don't like him, they'll find something new just about every day. I say people have no idea how lucky we are to have Trump and Bibi in charge for America and Israel. This really is the golden age. There's never been a better 1-2 combination. People talk about Harry Truman. No, folks, no. I'm sorry, Bill. He ain't no President Trump. This is the best 1-2 combination for our two countries ever. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. If I would have told you on October 8th, that 2.5 years after the worst massacre in modern Israeli history, that Israel would control 50% of the Gaza Strip, that Yahya Sinwar would be dead, Mohammed Deif dead, Hamas wouldn't have any more rockets, that Israel would control all the territory up to the Litani River in Lebanon, that Hassan Nasrallah would be dead, that his number 2, Fuad Shukr, would be dead, that the whole mid-level command of Hezbollah would be taken out in this grand beeper episode, that Hezbollah would no longer have tens of thousands of rockets to destroy Israel, that Bashar Assad would no longer be the president of Syria, that Ali Khamenei would no longer be the supreme leader in Iran, and every single one of their nuclear facilities would be hit. And then on top of that, every single last one of the hostages living and dead would be home. Everybody would have signed up for that result, and that's due to the war leadership of Prime Minister Netanyahu together working with the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Right, I'm glad you're right. Oh, because the last guy was I told you from October 8th on, that guy Biden was no good. I do want to talk about the war, though, in Iran. You guys must be keeping a very close eye on Trump and Xi in China. China yesterday, there was a conversation between Xi and Trump, which Xi talked about the willingness from China. This is unbelievable. This is huge news, Alex. The willingness from China to buy oil from us, oil and gas from America. At that point, they're not to rely on Iran, supply Iran with weapons, give them money for some of those terror proxies, because let's face it, Iran was the country that funded all of it. Hamas in Gaza, the Houthis coming out of Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon. It was all Iran. It was all Iran. So what you really want to see here is China move closer to America, and maybe they'll take Russia with them and kind of leave Iran all by themselves. That's great for your country.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, China was basically evading sanctions because Iran was selling them oil at a discount. And I think President Trump, he's brilliant, and he's looking at the global chessboard where he sees China on the other side of the chessboard, and he sees Iran as one of the bishops on the map. So he understands Trump. He's trying to set up an alternative trade route to the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. It's called the IMEC corridor, India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor, to bring goods through, eventually through also Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, use the Haifa port as a major hub, then to transfer goods over to Europe and the West. And so Trump understands that in order to establish that, you got to quiet down the Middle East. So you have to take out Iran and this entire network of regional proxies, and then bring all the other players, which include the Saudis, includes Qatar, includes Turkey, over into the American orbit. Because if you don't have them in the American orbit, where do they go? They go into the Chinese orbit. So Trump is playing a massive 4D chess game here.
He really is.
With China.
Alex Traiman, the CEO of JNS.org, and I see you about as much in New York as I do in Israel the last couple of years. I see you here quite a bit. If I would have said to you, Traiman, 10 years ago, think about this, this is nuts, that a Jew would be safer walking, forget about Israel, at any one of about 5 Middle East countries, that a Jew would be safer walking there in the Middle East than Europe, London, or New York, you would have said what?
Crazy.
But
that's the situation. You can go to the United Arab Emirates, you can go to Bahrain, you can go to Morocco, and walk around and, feel good. You can go to Azerbaijan. Jews, Israelis are going over there, but you go to Paris, you go to London.
They kill you. They just killed 2 more Jews in London last week. And I was in both of those places over the summer when Ava graduated, as you know, and they're unrecognizable. And you got a lot of balls, I got to tell you. You're walking around New York City with your yarmulke on right now. And I say that joking because at least once a week, I have somebody in a gym who says to me, I wear these 2 bracelets. One reads, Am Yisrael Chai, and one reads, F Hamas, but the word F is spelled out, And they go, aren't you nervous? I go, nervous about what? Well, I got to tell you, I tell my kids, hide the Chai, take the yarmulke off. I go, you do that, they won. The terrorists won. They would almost rather your kid do that than find a dead body in the street. Why would you do that? Well, I'm nervous, I'm scared. I'm scared too. I love my kids, too. My son walks around, Gabriel, with a huge Jewish star. My daughter, Ava, she's a walking Israeli billboard. And I encourage them to continue to do that. But the truth is, every now and then, Alex, in a city like this, you are in peril. And I know you're a New Yorker. You were here for many years. Hard to believe that, right?
Yeah, people ask me, they say, what should we do here? And people are afraid. And I said, listen, stand up for yourself. Be proud. Support Israel. People are looking for authenticity today. You've got nothing to be ashamed of. Your country is strong. The country you support, Israel, is just becoming stronger and stronger. You have a backup plan if you need. We'll be willing to welcome you with open arms. And meanwhile, just strengthen yourself, strengthen your community. Don't be stupid about security here. You got to protect yourself and be proud and spread the message of truth amidst all of the lies and darkness that's being spread.
How much Mamdani talk is there 7,000 miles away in your home country?
Well, there's Mamdani talk. There's Tucker Carlson talk. We know what's going on here in the United States. We're following that. Of course, we're still dealing with the war, and we're going to be in an election cycle in Israel soon. So we're probably a little bit more hyper focused on the neighborhood, but. Certainly, we're very aware of what's going on around the world because there's also a lot of Israelis that live here, too.
Ton of Israelis. They go back and forth. And you, my friend Alex Traiman, and your boys, I love your family, and Sippy, your beautiful wife, hopefully listening right now in Jerusalem. You, Alex Traiman, you're a diehard Knicks fan, aren't you?
I've been a Knicks fan, Giants fan.
What time are the Knicks games on in Jerusalem?
I don't watch the games live. You can't do that.
Yeah.
No.
It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
You can watch the highlights. Yeah.
I had President Trump on this show 2 days ago. I asked him about the Knicks. He said, I love the Knicks. I love James Dolan. Boy, those guys are pretty good. They made such quick work of Philadelphia. He mentioned Joel Embiid. I said, wow, this guy's really paying attention. The president of the United States in a war with Iran on the way to China mentioned Joel Embiid. How great is that?
Well, these are people. I see that in Israel also. The prime minister, his advisors, government officials, they're just people, and them, and they're just humans, and they also, need to take, some time off and to disconnect for a few minutes.
Have some fun,
find out what's going on in sports. Watch a quarter of a game, whatever it is.
Yeah. Go down to the Dead Sea, which I did last time. I got to tell you, they scared the hell out of me. If you have a cut, it's going to burn.
No, it's great.
It was great. It wasn't uncomfortable.
That's one of my favorite places in the whole world.
Me too.
Dead Sea.
I'm going back again this time. So tell folks who may be on their way to Jerusalem for your big event or maybe pondering whether to go or not, because people are still saying to me, is it safe? Stop asking that question. You're safer there than you are, honestly, right now in New York City. It's a dumb question. But wait a second, Sid, they're blowing up buildings in Tel Aviv. No, they're not. When was the last time a rocket hit anywhere in Israel?
About 3.5 weeks ago.
Well, that's too close for my comfort. Okay. Oh, no, I'm not coming. And where was that?
Right. I mean, until the ceasefire with Iran, they were firing rockets up to the last minute.
To Tel Aviv mostly, right?
out towards Tel Aviv. Also, we had,
But it's over now. It's been over for a month. Come on, stop.
It seems like it's over, but if you ask Israelis, they think that there could be a short round two.
Well, because Trump is talking about going back in. Once Trump goes back in, then you guys, they're not bombing Staten Island. They're not bombing Cincinnati. Trump goes back in, and what do? They bomb you. So is it fair to say then that,
Israel
despite what I just said, you're actually nervous?
Israel bombs too, right?
No, I know that.
We're participating.
Yeah, but you're not killing civilians. They're blowing up, and maybe you are, but certainly not on purpose. They're sending their missiles towards apartment buildings in Tel Aviv.
They send cluster bombs, which what that means is that the bomb actually breaks off into 20 different fragments, each with a warhead on it, and then just spraying it over a city, and they don't care what they hit. They're not. You cannot target something specific except for a population center with a cluster bomb. Every time Israel strikes inside Iran, they're hitting a precise military target. I mean, we've seen, like in Lebanon, for example, they know that a terrorist is eating dinner in his dining room on the fourth story of the building.
Yeah, they hit
and they put a missile through the window of the dining room.
Yeah,
right.
That's it. They're not killing anybody else. There's not all this casualty of war, this genocide in Gaza. Is Gaza also starting back up again? I read that last week, that maybe there'll be more.
We know that there's nobody that can disarm Hamas except for the IDF, but the question is, what's the cost? If Israel goes back into Gaza now, the whole international community, the media, they're going to go nuts.
Of course.
They hide among the civilian populations. Every time you kill a terrorist, they say that Israel killed the child. Right? They say Israel hit a mosque because Hamas uses a mosque as its military headquarters.
They use mosques, they use hospitals, they use nurseries.
Right. And then in addition, you can't. The Hamas rules with machine guns, and you can't defeat machine guns with F-35s. The only way you can take away machine guns is in hand-to-hand combat. And then you have to send your soldiers in.
Yeah.
And for Israel, a big part of the national resilience is waking up in the morning and seeing if a soldier died. I mean, we value our soldiers so much.
Sure.
People don't understand this.
Yeah.
Every life, especially our lives, our soldiers' lives, is so valuable. And why should we send our boys and daughters to get killed, in order that Hamas should get rebuilt? Because right now, the Trump 20-point plan says there's no rebuilding in Gaza until Hamas disarms. So we should get ourselves killed in order to disarm them, in order that billions of dollars should flow in to Gaza to rebuild it? Maybe the current situation is better.
Probably is. Look, I've been there on Yom HaZikaron, not this year, the year before, which is Israel's Memorial Day, and I've gone to Mount Herzl, and I cried all day. I mean, it is a very, very tough watch. All these young and beautiful soldiers walking to grave sites of relatives and friends. It is very, very tough. So in the final 60 seconds, Traiman, what can we expect at this big summit coming up in now a couple of weeks?
Well, we're hopeful that the Prime Minister will speak as he did last year for 55 minutes. The Foreign Minister, President Herzog, who's been a guest on your show many times. He
likes me for some reason. I'm a Republican. He's not, but he likes me.
Well, because he knows that you have the biggest audience in New York City. That's why he likes you.
He's no dummy.
Mark Levin is coming, the great one, to speak again at our summit this year. Many media personalities. Bruce Pearl's coming, diplomats, members of parliament in Europe. It's going to be 200 speakers from the whole pro-Israel community over 3 days at the Waldorf Astoria in Jerusalem, June 21 to 23. We're still selling tickets. Go to the website, and we'd love to have you there. Of course, you're going to be there.
I'm so excited. Yeah, they go nuts when I speak. It's like Tom Jones. They start throwing braziers and panties on the stage.
But watch your mouth when you do.
Did I curse last year? Did I say? I don't think I cursed at your event last year. Okay. I don't think. Did I?
I don't remember.
You never know, though. It's a risk, I know. And you always say this right before. I spoke at some shul in Queens a couple of months ago. The guy said, listen, they're all here for you. It was packed. There were people outside in the street, but you can't curse. So I think it took me...
No, you were well behaved.
No, I think I said the F word about 60 seconds in.
At the JNS conference?
I believe. No. The one in Queens.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you did at the one
I told this story once before. I had the famous comedian Gilbert Gottfried. I used to love Gilbert. He was on my shows quite a bit. He was a very, very funny guy. He died. I'm so sad about that. But I had him on one time in Florida. I was on in Florida. And I said, Gilbert, do me a favor. Last time you were on, you said the word penis about 20 times. I had to spend an hour in my program director's office, him yelling at me, do me a favor, Gilbert. Stay away from that word today. No problem. The interview starts. And for a good 12 minutes, all he said was penis. That was it.
I think you just said it twice.
I know. Well, that's me, though. When you tell me not to say something, you're better off not saying anything. Because once you tell me not to say it, then I'm like, watch someone do the Traiman today. Watch this. No, I know better. It's a beautiful event. You do a great job.
I thought that was the last word that was going to come up in our segment. That's amazing,
You
Sid.
just never know. You never know, do you? It's great to see you. I love you to pieces. You know that. You're a terrific guy, and you do a great job at JNS, and the family's beautiful, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. It is at JNS.org, second International Policy Summit from the beautiful Waldorf Astoria in Jerusalem. Alex Traiman does an unbelievable job, and it's going to be 3 days of great speeches and a lot of solidarity and unity.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?